I wasn't good enough for my boyfriend, so I lied about cheating on him, and it ended up being the worst decision of both of our lives. Okay, when I, 34F, was 14, I finally got my life back on track after a rough childhood. I lost my dad, was bullied on school and simply had some rough years. But I changed of school, I met my friend group and someone who a couple of months later became my first boyfriend, Tomas, 34M now. I was real happy, I felt like I had found my place finally. I was doing good on school, had a job, and at least 2 weekends a month, my group of friends and I would leave the town to go to a city in the coast or the capital city, just 2 or 3 hours away on car. I'm from Argentina, and we would go to see our favorite national rock bands. We loved it, we were big fans. It was the coolest thing to do back then in my country. Doing pogo, pushing people to get to the front fence, screaming the lyrics, you know. It doesn't seem important, but it is. Basically, when I was 16, my friend group and I head to the capital to go see one of our favorite bands. I'm not gonna explain what happened, just gonna say that the biggest tragedy of rock happened that night. Lots of victims and lots of people that ended up hurt. I ended up hurt, I still have a big scar on my thigh. 2 of my closest friends passed away that night. It was a big mess. I can never explain what I felt. I remember I started to go out every weekend, I would get messed up. I avoided talking about it at all. I would leave the room when someone even spoke about it, I kept pretending that everything was fine. That I was fine. Tomas was there, supporting me through everything. Working hard to get a smile out of me every day, trying to get me to open up, but not pushing me too much either, hugging me when I needed to. And well, our relationship grew stronger, despite me going into a darker hole. When we graduated, we moved to the same city to keep studying, and I decided that it was time for me to cut the bullshit. I got a part-time job and worked hard to get the best grades, got new friends, stopped partying so much. I thought I was fine, or at least I wanted to convince myself that I was, but with time, I realized that I wasn't. We were like 20, and I remember I started to drink again. I hated myself, I felt miserable, I had nightmares with that night, and I felt even worse because I thought I was being like ungrateful. I survived at least, in my mind, feeling like this was pathetic. Mental health, well, we didn't speak much about it then. During this time, I started to treat Tomas bad. I was mistreating. No, I never hit him or anything like that, but I would often yell at him or call him names when he was just trying to help. I kept pushing him away. I realized he deserved better than me. Tomas was always an angel, of course he did. It did not make sense to me why he was still supporting me. When he found me passed out after so much drinking on the floor, he would take me to the bathroom, bathe me, dress me and put me in bed, cook for me, clean my apartment. It only made me felt worse. I had a great man, and I was treating him like poop. He simply deserved better than me. I tried to tell him that we needed to break up, but he refused. Tomas refused and told me he would stick next to me no matter what. But I only got worse, and I felt like I was going to drag him with me, and I couldn't stand the idea of seeing him with me. So after thinking it, I made a choice. I did the only thing I knew he wouldn't forgive. Well, I told him I did it. I told him I cheated on him with a guy from my work. A friend he was jealous of. He was upset, confused, angry, sad and felt betrayed, of course. It was heartbreaking to see him like that, but I knew it was necessary. He was much better without me, I was just a dead weight back then. Anyway, he left. I simply did not see him again afterwards. I didn't call him either, didn't search for him even though I wanted to. After I graduated, I got a full-time job, and I got tired of feeling miserable. My mom got me in contact with survivors. I'm going to clarify, many survivors had unalived themselves or tried to. Most of us ended up with serious mental health issues as you can see, and they ended up convincing me to start therapy. I stopped drinking for good and well, it was all really hard. Finally stop avoiding reality and facing my problems, accepting that I needed help. All the process of opening up was hard, but worth it. Countless are the nights where I just stared at the phone, wondering if I should call Tomas or not. I wanted to call him, tell him I had lied, apologize for everything and thank him for everything he did for me. I have to say, Tomas did call to check up a few times, but I always decided not to pick up. I heard a lot of voicemails of him while he was drunk, asking how I could do that to him, but he would still say that he loved me and he asked me how I was. I forced myself to never answer. With time, his calls stopped, I got better and started to go back to my old self slowly. I started dating again, started to have more fun and eventually got married and had a daughter. Life did got better for me, but all that goes up, goes down, and my husband ended up cheating on me. Karma's a bitch, I know. I divorced him, and I was able to buy my own house and got primary custody of our daughter. My daughter has been the light of my eyes and, even with everything that happened lately, for her, I would never let myself fall into that depression again. I was and still am happier than ever. Anyway, I got in contact again with Tomas like 5 months ago. He found me on the IC and just sent me a DM, and we started to chat, to catch up about life. He also had a kid, a 5-year-old son, but he's not with his mother. It was a product of a one-night thing, and they have a good co-parenting relationship. He has him 2 weeks at month. The thing is, we started to meet up again. Just as friends at first, but then we started to hook up. We would go on dates, but we never talked about the cheating. But finally, I confessed that my feelings for him were back. Tomas told me he was feeling the same, but he wasn't sure about starting anything again with someone who had cheated. That's when I chose to finally open up about what happened in the past, about how I was feeling and how I didn't want to drag him with me, so that's why I chose to lie about cheating on him. Tomas was shocked. He got upset and I remember how he left. He called me later and told me I shouldn't have lied to him about something like cheating, that I should have just tell him that I didn't want to be with him anymore. I explained again my side, and told him I'd rather him to think real bad of me, to be real sad for a while but eventually move on, than to drag him with me, to my dark hole. He just told me that he was an adult that could make his own choices, and that he just wanted to be there for me. I told him I didn't regret what I did, but I apologized for hurting him and hand up, and we haven't talked ever since. He called me yesterday, but I didn't pick up. I wasn't ready to talk with him yet. I have been processing all this information. Despite not being the best way, all these years I believed I had made him a favor with this. That even though it hurt him, it was the best for him. Also, I was not even close to be good enough to be in a relationship. I honestly don't know. I do know it wasn't the best way, but I had no strength to reject him. I knew he would have been able to convince me that he wanted to stay with me despite everything. Update, 5 days later. Tomas and I met up on Saturday and things went well. We had a long talk. We talked for hours about everything. He opened up about how hurt he felt, how awful the months after our breakup was and how he felt like I was making the choice for him. I told him that I was not only doing it for him, but also for me. I couldn't be in a relationship back then. How could I? Back then I was so self-destructive and not nice to be around. I also told him how he might have wanted to stay, but I didn't want him to. I reminded him that I tried to break up with him many times, and he simply wouldn't listen to my reasons and apologized for it, but he also explained how he loved me more than anything and couldn't leave in that situation. And how even after he thought I had cheated, he was scared about me trying to off myself. I told him I loved him so much back then and now, but at least for me, it was not healthy to maintain a relationship, it was toxic and it wouldn't have helped any of us at all. We apologized to each other, and I clarified that I want to leave all of this behind and to just be us, to finally put this in the past. He agreed. We cried but it was tears of happiness. I hadn't been so happy in a while, I guess deep down it was what I always wanted, ever since we broke up. To be okay again and to be like we used to. I guess that I never stopped